Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today I have with me Mr. Rocco Cozza. He is an attorney, talent manager, and author, and so much more. Now, first of all, did I say that right, Rocco
You
Cozza?
did. You said it perfectly. Most people screw that up, but you said it perfectly.
Awesome, awesome. I like to get that right. So, thank you for making time for me today. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate your time. Time is something we can't get back. So, I know it's a gift. So, thank you.
I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to jump right into the good stuff. Everybody's today is talking about business, entrepreneurship,
Sure.
and money. And I want to take a moment for you to tie it in for us. So I'm going to give you a scenario,
Okay.
and then you'll give your input on it. So let's say I have this aunt, and she's been making for years. She's been baking pies and cakes in her kitchen for years and years. And she
Hmm.
decides she wants to make the transition to brick and mortar.
Okay.
What are the advantages of her sitting down with a business attorney such as yourself before she just plunges right into this?
Well, so the first thing I always tell people is your aunt is good at baking. That's her skill set. So I
Okay.
always say there are people like me, lawyers, to do those certain things. I can't bake. I'm terrible. I can cook. I can't bake. So I would never attempt to bake pies or cakes. And I always tell people, don't attempt to be a lawyer. So what a good business lawyer does is help you navigate. So take a food business, for instance. Well, there's health department regulations, there's code regulations. If you're going to go brick and mortar, you have to make sure that you have the right lease in place. You have an entity structure to protect yourself from liability. I mean, selling food is a high liability business. So if you don't have a LLC or a corporation or some sort of corporate protection, you're putting all of your personal assets at risk. I always like to tell my clients, I want to be with them from the beginning to the end. I want to guide them, mentor them, and advise them throughout the entire process because there's things they shouldn't be focused on. That's why there's attorneys. That's why there's accountants. That's why there's insurance brokers and bankers. Your aunt should be focused on perfecting her craft
Okay.
and making money doing that. We take care of the rest.
Okay. Good advice. Good advice. Because, a lot of times, young new
Yeah.
business owners, they do just try to take on everything themselves or
Yeah.
listen to somebody down the street who's never put a business together. And I really think people don't understand the importance of, like you said, having somebody on board who that is what they do, like you, a
Exactly.
business attorney. Now, you mentioned in some of your tips LLC.
Hmm.
And I don't think also a lot of people understand when they're starting businesses the importance of separating who you are as an individual
Sure.
from your business. So I remember years ago, there
Hmm.
was like a lot of hubbub about opening up or setting up your LLC S Corp in
Hmm.
states like Delaware or Nevada. Do you have any input on this, or what is the best place to do this at?
So I believe I'm of the school of thought you incorporate or form your entity in the state and where you operate.
Okay.
There's really no benefit to do it in Nevada, in Delaware or Wyoming. There's some certain tax provisions, but the problem is you still have to deal with two states. So if I'm in Pennsylvania, if I'm operating in Pennsylvania, but form a Nevada corporation, I've got to now deal with two state filings. I've
Okay.
got to file in Pennsylvania as a foreign company doing business here. So I advise all of my clients to start the entity where they're going to operate from. As they grow and they start moving into different markets, then it may make sense to restructure, to build out a different corporate formation. If they're looking for venture capital, there's a lot of different ways to do it. But to start to make things simple, if you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, incorporate in the state and where you operate.
Okay, good advice. Good advice. Now, in today's world, we talked earlier when I gave the example of like my
Mhm.
aunt wanting to open up a
Yeah.
brick and mortar. But in today's world with technology, you see a lot of entrepreneurs opening online businesses. Do
Hmm.
they have different dynamics that they have to work with?
There's a lot of different dynamics. And again,
Okay.
this comes down to when you're dealing with an online business and you're selling things, services over the internet, you need to have a really good CPA to
Okay.
understand the tax law in each state because some states require you to remit sales tax. There's a lot of that issues. And just from having an internet business of itself, there are certain things you need to make sure you have on your website to be compliant with various. So the California has the Consumer Protection Act. the CCPA, you
Mhm.
have to have certain things on your website's privacy policy in terms of service if people from California can reach your website, which they can, obviously.
Mhm.
Same thing in Europe, the GDPR, which is the data protection law over there. It's very strict. There's a lot of penalties. So again, this is why having an attorney, especially a business attorney, to
Okay.
guide you through this process, you know, returns it, returns the investment you put in, 100-fold down the road.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Now, on your website, it says that your law office provides a different approach to
Yep.
representing your clients. It
Yep.
says you guys use technology and innovative thinking. Could you kind of go into that for us a little bit?
Yeah. So when I started my law practice, I saw a niche in the market. There were these big firms that were doing it the old way, the hourly rate. They weren't looking at how the market is moving. So when I started my practice, I said, I want to help entrepreneurs, help business owners, athletes, entertainers in a different way. So I eliminated the hourly billing model for 99.9% of my clients. And I do most things on a flat fee or a subscription-based model. So clients understand exactly what they're paying up front for the service I provide them. And what I also do is once you retain me for something, meaning you pay me for something, I'm now your lawyer. All of my clients have my personal cell phone. They can text me, they can call me, they can email me. I don't charge for things like that.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
my whole premise of my practice is it's not transactional. It's about a relationship and helping my clients grow and become what they can be. And I want to be part of that. And I don't look at it as a pure transaction.
Okay. Now, that's a very unusual
Yeah.
philosophy. A lot of us, when we think of attorneys, you kind of guys are up there with dentists and stuff like
Yeah. No, I get it
you guys
completely.
are not our favorite
No.
people. So to hear somebody talking about being, so generous with your time and not
Yeah.
billing us for everything, that's a very new concept for us
Yeah.
to hear. So it's very refreshing, I must say.
I appreciate that.
Now, wow. So I watched your TED, and this leads me into your TED talk.
Yeah.
Changing the world with kindness. Now,
Yeah.
that is something that is my stickler point, my soapbox
Sure.
topic of these world. And like I said, we don't usually hear those two words in the same sentence, attorney and kindness.
Yeah. You are absolutely
so,
correct.
so how did you get to be this guy, this
You know,
kind attorney guy?
yeah, it was my upbringing. Honestly, my grandmother at a very young age just taught me when I talk about kindness, it's about being willing to help anyone with no expectation of anything in return. That's really what I talk. When I talk about kindness in business, in leadership, it's that willingness to give someone your time to help them with zero expectation of anything in return. We live in this world where it's give and take. What's in it for me? Especially, in attorneys, right? It's counterintuitive to us. We're taught that our time is money.
Okay.
I've just always approached it differently. I'm always willing to help. And that, unfortunately, or fortunately, has been a tenet in my life that has led to, amazing opportunities without ever thinking it would. And it's a lost art in this world. And I think if people were more willing to give their time without any expectation of anything in return, I think this world would be a lot different place.
True, true. I mean, I think people really need to understand us as human beings,
Mhm.
we're designed to coexist with each other. And part of that coexistence means we have to be kind, look out for, help, assist, and just be kind to each other. So,
Absolutely.
and I think we've lost our way in that, but it's refreshing to see people like you. Do all you attorneys go to the same particular law school and learn this or something like that? Or
No, I feel like I'm an anomaly, and it's just it's just become a passion of mine.
okay,
The whole talk came from when I was speaking to kids.
okay.
They asked me what was the most important thing in business, and I said kindness, and they all looked at me like I was crazy. So I knew this was a message that needed spread because I have 3 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them to grow up in a world that's kinder than the one in which you live today.
Yeah,
So I just knew it was something that I had to really take ownership of living that and spreading the message as best I could.
good point, good point. And I think that's one of the things that we have seen over the years with the transition from small business, mom and pop stores to your bigger business
Yeah.
models, is this loss of leadership being kind letting it trickle down to the workforce,
Yeah,
and how you get so much more of a productive workforce product or whatever when you
absolutely.
do have a philosophy of kindness in your company, so
Absolutely.
I think it's wonderful. But this brings me to one of your catchphrases,
Yeah.
the unbillable hour. What
Yeah.
is that?
And that's really what I was talking about, giving my time with no expectation, right? So I look at myself as an attorney. If I really tracked the hours I spend with clients, the majority of the hours I spend are not billable time.
Okay.
It's not where I'm making money, or it's not a transaction. It's just me being willing to give that hour, 30 minutes, 90 minutes to someone to try and help them. That unbillable hour in my mind has been one of the keys to my success in life, and it was an unintended consequence of just the way I operate. So I use that in the talk as, this is something people need to think about. It's not about the time for money. It's about giving that time for free with no expectation of anything in return.
Okay. Okay. So I'm curious, when you
Mhm.
have your conversations with your attorney colleagues who
Yeah,
are of a different mindset,
sure.
what's the conversation like? Because I'm pretty sure they're like, Rocco, like you could be more productive, you could get more clients, you could get more money if you were like this. So what's the conversation like?
Honestly, the close friends of mine that are attorneys see what I'm doing and are curious.
Okay.
It's created a curiosity because, I'm a solo practitioner. So I'm a single man law firm, but, I have an assistant and I have, people that help with other aspects, but I'm the attorney. And people have seen what I've been able to do, grow my profile, grow my firm to a level that usually it's of a 3 to 4 person firm. So they're curious to how I do it. And when I tell them, it's about the way I operate. It's not about the practice of law. It's about the practice of business. And I
Okay.
practice business with kindness. And people, it's actually created a lot of curiosity in my fellow attorneys that I mingle with, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to be nosy here.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I want to, I'm curious now that we're talking about the philosophy of the
Hmm.
legal field or whatever.
Sure.
What is it in law school, I guess, that you guys are taught that makes it such a cutthroat
Hmm.
field?
Yeah. So one of the first things we're taught is to zealously advocate for our clients.
Right,
They, d-
wrong,
yeah,
moralistically, right? Okay.
but they don't really tell you what that means or how to do it. So you come out of law school thinking, you know, the legal field is adversarial by nature. That's kind of what we're taught and what's bred into us as lawyers. Now there's different areas of law. Like I went into business law, so it's more of problem solving, I would say. It's not very adversarial.
Mm-hmm.
But because in law school, the majority of things we talk about are the adversarial nature of the law, people just come out thinking that's how it is. And then because it's so competitive as just a profession,
Okay.
I'll give you an example. When I graduated law school in 2003, if you're in the top 20 of the class, it's called law review. Someone that was number 21 in the class would have a starting salary about $70,000 less than the person that's number 19. That's how competitive it is. Because if you
Mm.
have that title law review, they just put you in this class of student that has excelled. And if you're number 21 in the class, which means you just missed the cutoff, you're not going to get looked at by the big firms.
Wow.
So that was, 16 years ago. I had friends that were, in the 20s that came out making $60,000, $70,000 less than I was my first year as an associate. And they were
Wow.
smarter than me. I just took tests better.
Better, yes, yes. And there's always these dynamics
Yeah.
of who tests better, who's actually the top level. So
Yeah.
I can understand. Yeah, but you just wonder why certain professions develop a certain mindset. And
Yeah.
like I said, some of us have this concept in our mind. We liken attorneys
Yeah.
to dentists and stuff like that. And it would be nice. It would be nice to kind of change the mindset.
I
There are
agree.
more good guys out there like you guys fighting the good fight. But we just don't see your
Yeah.
stories too often. So hopefully
No,
we can get that
absolutely.
out. That we get that. Now you have a book that you wrote
Yes.
called The Alpha Way, 5 Keys to Unblocking Your Greatness and Living Your Best Life. Now, at first blush, when I see the Alpha Way, I'm thinking alpha male or female, but I'm assuming it's not that,
Yes,
correct?
that is correct. So, Alpha actually stands for the 5 keys:
Okay.
attitude, leadership, passion, hard work, and accountability.
Okay.
So it kind of was a good play on words. It came to me, and I ran with it.
Okay. So what does the reader find in this book?
So I look at this so that when I talk about this book, it's really a guidebook for people trying to succeed in life. So I always say I'm a huge personal development fan. I've been reading books for years, but a lot of the books I read are written by the guy or gal that's at the top of the mountain that has already hit the summit. And they're like, hey, here's how I did it, which is great, but a lot of it doesn't resonate with me. I always say that I wrote this book from the middle of the climb. I'm climbing up the mountain. I've done some things right. I've done some things wrong. These 5 things I talk about in this book are what I believe the people coming up the mountain behind me, if they understand, the climb will be a lot easier.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's meant to just be that guidebook.
Okay. Okay. So we've got unlocking your greatness in life, and we've got the kindness. That's 2 things, I think, because you mentioned that you have 3 kids, and we as parents, we want to instill the best in our children.
Yes.
So when the 3 little ones, they're looking at dad, are they following in your footsteps? Are they trying to?
I will say that I am very fortunate they are. My son is 18, so he's in his senior year of high school, and he, as a dad, you never really know if you're getting through. And I still remember, various points in life where other kids' parents have said stuff, your son Gabe is just the most polite, mannerful child. He's just been taught really well, and he's watched. Like I was never one to tell him what to do. It was always, I will show you what to do. Because if I'm not going to do it, why should you? And that's the same with he's my oldest, and I have 2 daughters, 10 and a 6-year-old. And they, when I was practicing for my TED Talk, they could basically recite it with me. And I've basically ingrained kindness in their head. And they have posters in their room about being kind. And I'm really trying to create a culture within my family of, we are no better or worse than anybody. We are here to help anyone we can. And that's the way the world operates. And fortunately, my wife's on board with that, and my kids have been amazing. I feel very blessed to have a family like I do.
Oh, awesome. Any future attorneys you see coming up?
Well, my youngest, my 6-year-old, I always say she's my arch nemesis because she's exactly like me and can give me a run for my money. So she's definitely a possibility. And my son recently, just because he's going off to college and he's thinking about, sports management, sports agency. So I was kind of guiding him, say, hey, you may want to think about law school, and then you can just come work for me, and I'll have someone to carry on the legacy. So we'll see. I mean, it's still early, but
okay, that'll be fun. That'll be fun to see how that all pans out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, moving on to today's topic. I was watching the news the other day, and there was some hubbub about Taylor Swift, the music artist Taylor Swift, and she's going through this battle with her old record label about being able to perform her songs. And one of the things you do is that you are a talent manager. And a lot of times with these new and upcoming artists, they sign these deals with the devil because they just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So for an up-and-coming artist, somebody newly trying to get in the game, do you have any tips and pointers for?
Yeah, I mean, here's what I will say, and this is a philosophy that I've recently shifted to. So I've kind of changed from the management side to more of the entertainment law side of things. Because what happens in that industry is a lot of those young artists and entertainers will go to the manager first, go to the agent first, and sign these deals that they don't even know what they're signing. So I always say, get a lawyer first. Get an entertainment lawyer first. And that's kind of, I've actually shifted more so away from the talent management side recently to more trying to represent these clients as their lawyer to make sure they're protected.
Okay. Now, when we are looking for a business attorney or a talent attorney, I mean, what, because you go to Google or whatever, and there's just lists and lists and lists.
Sure.
What should we be looking for?
So
I'm assuming we're not going to find too many Roccos out there in this world.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I hope not. That's what gives me a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
But I always say, look, you want to make sure if you're looking for a business or entertainment lawyer, you want to make sure that that's pretty much all they do. Because there are lawyers that say, hey, I do, personal injury, real estate, estates and trusts, and business law. Well, they're not an expert in anything. Like, I just practice business and entertainment law. That's all I do. So that's the first kind of hurdle you got to get past. Look at their website, look at their profile, their online reviews, make sure that's all they're doing. And then 2, talk to them, meet them, use your intuition.
Okay.
I always say that if I could not sit down and have a beer with one of my clients, I wouldn't work with them.
Okay.
Because we have to build a relationship of trust and friendship or it'll never work.
Okay.
And that's kind of the barometer I use when I'm looking at clients. And that's what I want them to use, looking at me as their lawyer.
Okay. So are there any platforms or any places you should suggest that we start to
Yeah.
look?
So to get ratings on lawyers, so one is Avvo, avvo.com. That's a lawyer rating website. So that's a pretty good site. Obviously check out their Google reviews, because if a lawyer, is good, people will put their reviews on Google because they're happy with or they're not happy with their service. Those are really the 2 best places to look to find the reviews, and then to find a lawyer itself. Avvo is a great place to do a search, in your local market for the type of attorney you're looking for.
Okay. Okay. Now, in this process of developing a business, you've mentioned a few key things, because a lot of newbies in the business, they don't understand all the various working parts. So you have the business attorney, but you mentioned CPA. So in setting up your business, who are some key figures that you should have in this process of setting up a business?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So first, a solid business attorney, obviously, a CPA that has worked with businesses like yours. So that's a key, because a lot of people
They're not all the same?
I mean, they all know the basic accounting. What I found over my career is that some CPAs are really good working with real estate investors or restaurants, because they understand the industry, they understand the metrics.
Okay.
So we want to find someone that has experience with businesses like yours.
Okay.
So after the CPA, you want to make sure you have a really good insurance broker that understands business insurance and the types of insurance you're going to need.
Okay.
A good banker that can, help you with financing, setting up checking accounts, credit cards. And then if you need brick and mortar, a solid real estate agent.
Okay.
Then as you grow and start making more money, then you want to get a good financial planner to start putting together the pieces with the team of people already in play. Like, how do you protect the money you're making? How do you put life insurance in place? How do you do different things with the lawyer, the CPA, the insurance broker, and the financial planner all working together to create a total package for you?
Good deal. Good deal. Now, I've been reading up on business for many, many years now, because
Sure.
I'm not a spring chicken or whatever. So years ago, you heard constantly, frequently, you set up a business, it's very good business practice. Well, now that I'm about to say this, it's current in today's political climate, but it's a very good practice to employ your own family, employ your own children. Is that something that a business owner should really kind of look into, like employing?
Yeah, I mean, I love that strategy. One, for tax advantages of doing it. If you're doing it legally and they do actually work for the business, you can't create false employment. 2, I think it teaches kids a lot.
Okay.
My son has done work on my rental properties for years with us. And then if like my wife and I, we own a company together. So we do business together, and it allows us to actually build something together outside of the tax advantages and all the different things you can do from a creative planning perspective. It allows you to put more money in retirement accounts, put more money away for healthcare. You can create IRAs for your kids. There's a lot of cool financial things you can do. So I do believe in that. If it's legitimate, absolutely.
Okay. Now, you mentioned something, and I've always thought is very important as a parent, and a lot of us fall short on this because we tend to think this is adult stuff. We don't want to put this on the kids, but it's very important, I think, for kids to understand, learn business at an early age. So, what are some things that we can do? Because not all of us are in business. Some of us are going to be 9-to-5 people,
Sure.
but that doesn't mean that we should put that on our children.
Yeah.
What are some things that we can do to kind of plant that seed, or make our children more aware or open to, hey, these are some options, some opportunities that you might have in life.
Well, and I cannot take credit for this. A business colleague of mine gave me this amazing idea that he does with his kids, and I started doing it with mine. Is every quarter he puts his kids on the payroll, he calls it. So you're an employee of the house. So here's your job duties, like clean your room, do these things. Here's the money you're going to get paid every week, no matter if you do the work or not. But at the end of every month or the end of every quarter, we sit down and review your performance, and either your pay gets decreased or it can get increased. So it's teaching them that concept of being an employee, working for someone, how to earn more. And then what he does is every dollar they make, 50 cents of it they have to put aside. After they do this for 2 years, he has them start a business.
Okay.
Like a craft business or something small. So it's this really interesting concept that I actually started doing in my house, which is an amazing thing because it teaches kids responsibility. It's not an allowance. This is your paycheck. So you're going to get it every week, regardless of what you do. But understand, if you don't perform, that money gets cut in half next month.
Great. I love
So
that.
it was an amazing thing when he told me about it. It blew my mind. I'm like, I have to do this. So I cannot take credit for it.
Okay. And how are the kids responding to that?
It's awesome. They love it.
Okay. Cool.
They love it.
Awesome. So we're going to do the random question.
Okay.
And then I'm going to let you tell everybody where they can pick up the book. And then, well, before I do that,
sure,
because you're so wonderful and you're doing so many things, people can only in Pennsylvania hire you. We can't get you anywhere.
No, so I can't, as a lawyer, you can't practice in front of courts in other states you're not licensed in. But I have clients in California, New York, that I help them with their business. I revise contracts for them. I can set up entities in other states. So yeah, for business transactions, yes. You have to just be licensed in a state.
Okay.
But yes, awesome. If you have people that want to reach out to me, absolutely.
Okay. So after we do the random question, we're going to tell everybody how they can get connected with you, because there's so few of you out there, and then we're going to see how we get the book and get connected with you. So let's see what we've got here.
All right.
Okay. What is the most useful thing your mom or dad has taught you?
The most useful thing my mom has ever taught me, she told me, I don't care what you become, as long as you're the hardest worker at it. Okay. And that piece of advice has stuck with me since I was in high school.
Okay. Hard work.
That's it. It's simple.
That's my beef with a lot of these young kids today. They just feel so entitled. Like, you mean I have to work for it? Like,
No, I know. I feel your pain. Trust me. I know exactly what you're talking about.
All righty, Rocco. Please tell everybody how they pick up the Alpha Wave 5 keys to unlocking your greatness and living your best life, how prospective artists might get in touch with the Cozza company, and how they want to, as an attorney, just, hey.
Yeah, so you can get the book on Amazon. You can, you can get it for, an ebook or the soft cover book, which just go there, just type in the Alpha Wave, it'll come up. You'll see my face on the cover. It's the right one. To check out my law firm, just go to cozzalaw.com. I also have a personal website, roccocozza.com, ROCCOCOZZA. You can find out about my business consulting and the speaking I do. And then Instagram, I'm very active on Instagram. It's just the Rocco Cozza, all one word. And then Facebook is just Facebook.com/cozzalaw.com, or just Cozza Law, excuse me.
Cool stuff. Do you ever think of maybe offering training classes for new upcoming attorneys on how to be kind, how to give more unbillable hours? I mean, it could be a whole little professional niche there.
No, I've thought about it, and I actually created a course about a year ago for attorneys to build practices like mine. It was more of the business side of it, but it didn't really get into the kindness and the mental side of it. So that's actually a good point. I mean, I have thought about it. I may maybe hold a seminar here.
From all of us, please.
No. I appreciate that, and I that's definitely on my radar.
Okay, awesome. Well, Rocco, thank you for hanging out with me today. Much success, and keep doing, you and the family. You guys are all doing wonderful things. So we appreciate it. So thank you for hanging out with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Alrighty, that's all for this episode of The Male Perspective. I will see everybody next time. Woo!